Hi, everyone. Oops, there's a bit of echo. Yes, welcome to our weekly InstructLab community meeting. And as usual, we start out with some housekeeping, just in case there are people joining us for the first time. Please check the meeting minutes. The agenda doc, which is linked from the meeting calendar invite. So these meetings are governed by our InstructLab Community Code of Conduct. The link is there in the doc, and they'll be recorded as it's being recorded now and later posted to the InstructLab YouTube channel. Last week's meeting is already there. So, if you prefer not to be on camera, you feel free to turn the camera off or dial in via phone. And if you have any questions or you want to make comments, you can raise your hand with the hand raise function. And feel free to use the chat function in the Google Meet to ask questions or make comments as well. And we will publish the chat transcript. We'll link to the transcript in this document after the meeting. All right, let's get started. Or is there, Leslie, did I forget something?
Nope.
All right.
You did it beautifully.
Thank you. So the first item on the agenda, we'd like to share this great blog post about InstructLab. It goes to pretty good details about what it is about and how to use the InstructLab to tune and pre-train large language models. By Saida Amina. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you very much for this blog post.
I believe the author has joined us. Can you please teach us how to correctly pronounce your name?
Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's Saida Amina. That's right.
Saida. Okay. Thank you, Saida.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Carol, are we going to share that out in like our LinkedIn and social channels with Saida?
I was just about to mention that, and I will share this on Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff like that. And also, if you have stuff to share, you can always mention InstructLab on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'll check them regularly and we're always looking for good content to share. So thanks in advance. Okay, so recently there's this hot topic about Slack using a lot of data from the Slack chats for training AI and stuff like that. So I think people have asked the InstructLab project using Slack as the chat tool, chat platform. Do people have opinions or concerns, or because currently we're using a free tier, so the history is not kept after, is it 90 days or how many months? And we are kind of focusing on using the mailing list and of course these community meetings which are recorded to capture more of the discussions and conversations for the project. So at least for now, we're not relying on chat history. We don't intend to, but we would like to hear from y'all as well to see what's the opinion and things like that.
To be clear, the free tier keeps all your data. You can only just see the last 30 days. So if you ever pay up, you can go back and see the complete history. So they have all of that information forever to do what they wish with.
It's just that we don't have access to it unless we pay.
Of course.
Right. Okay. Yes, Nathan.
I was going to say, generally speaking, I'm in favor of keeping the Slack. Though I think I think we should definitely try to opt out of anything that sort of from that post that was described. I would like if sort of the delineation of more maybe long-term conversations that need to stick around, like architectural discussions, etc., was more prominent on the mailing list, since we will have those kind of indefinitely. It's a little easier to sort through and for people to keep track of those conversations, whereas Slack should be more for sort of quick conversations troubleshooting help, stuff like that. So anyway, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. And also we need to start promoting the mailing lists more. I don't think there's much traffic on there currently. So, and anybody else? Oops, I lost my window. Hang on. Okay. Yes, Russell. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I'm much less concerned about the training thing, although that's a valid concern, than the losing our chat history. So to me, I think the chat history to me is an important artifact of a community artifact. I would put it in the same category as GitHub issues, where I mean, you could say that maybe we don't depend on the history that resides in closed GitHub issues. I think most people would still say that it would be quite harmful to the project if we lost them after some period of time, where you can't look back and see what was that problem, what did we talk about, how, what were the things we went through, getting to the solution, solving that issue. And so as long as, if we have chat somewhere, if it's going to exist, then conversations are going to happen that are meaningful and represent some historical artifact, whether it was a problem that someone had and solutions, and we work through a solution and then someone finds it in search, or some kind of design discussion, because having a quicker back and forth is often more effective than email. Like if we have, I guess, let me put it another way. If chat exists, as much as we can say, I think we should try to do more in email. Things are going to happen in chat that are important and valuable and worth keeping. And so I guess if we're going to have chat, I would prefer that it's something, whether it's paid for or it has to be moved to an alternative that we pay less or don't pay, I don't care, where we don't lose history, because I think that's actually harmful to the project in the long term to be losing history.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Russell. Leslie?
Hi, thank you. I am +1 to not losing chat history. I think that the issue that we've identified is that the next best alternative to Slack, which will not be cost prohibitive, and is Matrix. And Matrix is apparently challenging for the everyday average user to make use of from a chat functionality perspective. So I don't know that we have a good answer to Matrix is hard. But that's just giving that context to folks who may not have it. The other thing that I will note is I think that we could help ourselves more to preserve these discussions if we were to discipline ourselves to use the mailing list. And I am just as guilty as anyone else of starting a conversation in chat that could just as easily be sent to the community mailing list for people to work through. It's just that I am now so used to being up in my Slack client that I always start in my Slack client. And sometimes I start in the wrong Slack client and have to remind myself to move to the community Slack client to have a conversation. And I think, I honestly think our best practice is to force ourselves to use the mailing list, but I am also deeply aware of my own challenges with all the context switching between different modes of communication for working on the project. I know I'm not the only one who is having trouble handling all of those different context switches. And perhaps we would be in a better and happier place if we could say, for example, our Slack workspace is there for people to reach us quickly, and also for users who prefer to ask troubleshooting questions to come and get help, but all discussions take place on the mailing list. And, hopefully everyone can access that. The other challenge that we have uncovered is that since our mailing lists are powered by Google Groups, not everyone is easily able to access Google Groups, because accessing a Google Groups-based mailing list requires having a Google account. And while one can register any email address at all as a Google account, you have to have your organization's permission to do that. And not everyone's organization blesses them registering their email address as a Google account. I've worked at universities before where you can't do that. And obviously, given the scope of InstructLab, we're going to want academics to be able to talk to us by email. TLDR, communication is very hard. I am in favor of making whatever decision is going to make the most sense for our maintainer team to be able to have effective design discussions in a way where that history is preserved long term. Because at this stage of the project's evolution, that's the group we need to optimize for. And we can iterate and make better decisions later, but we really, really need to be choosing a single blessed path that works for the maintainer team at this stage. And I don't know what that is, because as a community maintainer, I'm going to use whatever tool you throw at me, but I'm also not having long, detailed discussions about software design decisions, and I'm not well placed to comment on how that should work. So I will now yield the floor to the next person who has their hand raised. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. JJ, you're next. He probably
Sorry.
took the, yeah.
I have too many mutes. I'm sorry. Hey y'all. So just to make sure that this is at least not lost in the shuffle, with Slack and all that, obviously this is going to be a longer discussion, but I did want to make sure that people recognize that we do have office hours that are coming up. We have an EMEA based office hour, and also we have a US based one starting this week too. So in those conversations that Nathan was saying about the quick conversation back and forth, we also have a Google Meet that we'll be able to hop into. So community, recognize that it should be in the announced channel just before they happen. So just want to make sure people saw that too. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. Thorsten, you're next.
I'm sorry, I just raised my hand. I want to say the thumbs up. So this was the wrong button before. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Marty?
Hey, Carol. Thanks for that. So just along the topic, and not to, I suppose, put more petrol on this topic, but look, we can jump from client to client, and we're going to come up with some restriction or some difficulty or some challenge. I always felt when we were out on Slack or IRC or whatever chat system we were using, that, as Leslie said earlier, it should be to impart knowledge across the folks and help folks with stuff. So like a support system, and generally as our documentation improves, really we should be pointing them to links into documentation and giving a little overview of that. If we get good solid information out on Slack, it's best to bring that back into the project. So what I mean by that is either raise an issue, or we push a PR, or whatever we do to try and meet that need, put a requirement or whatever else that's required. But we're always feeding it back into the project. We're always trying to improve the project. We're always trying to learn from our users, okay? So even if we're not going to get to a particular feature straight away, or if it's a requirement that's really a big requirement, we still raise the issue. We still have it there, and it's persisted then inside in GitHub. Because down the line, if by chance we move to a foundation, then we're probably going to acquire the resources of the foundation and whatever chat system they use then and so forth. So we're going to have to change then anyway. So I think for the moment we should see it as being an ephemeral place where we have conversations, and if there is any value in those conversations that we can feed back into the project, we should bring them back in. Thanks.
Thanks, Marty. Very good discussions. Personally, I'm a full-time Matrix user. I use it for several projects, including Ansible, which I have been involved in for the past few years. And honestly, that there is a bit of initial onboarding curve that getting people to join Matrix, but I don't think it's as bad as people think. So we have pretty good participation in the Ansible community on Matrix, and I believe Fedora as well. So it could be an option we can consider. And sure, it's another chat client, but honestly, I have two separate, actually it used to be three, but two separate Slack windows open in the browser. But whereas Matrix, you can just have one, the Element web client, and you can have different Matrix spaces for the different communities. So you just, it's that separate client, but it can be one window for multiple projects if you're involved in other projects that use Matrix as well. So okay, any further comments on this? Or yes, Leslie.
I actually am wondering if the best way forward to preserve the discussion is to open up I think there might be an issue open in the community repo about the Slack training AI on users' messages, but I think should this discussion be happening in the community issues repository, or should we be putting it in the DevDocs repo and doing a wider request for comment?
I think probably community, personally.
If I have JJ's permission, I will rename the currently open issue, the issue of the community repo 279 to, how should we be thinking about what we're doing with chat, since there are many options, and then just, once again, inviting folks to comment. And I think we should time box commenting. And unless someone thinks that this is a ridiculous path forward, I think the community maintainers will need to have a chat, come to a decision about what we're going to do, and then let everybody know this is our decision. Here's how we think this decision is going to impact you. If you think we have made a horrible mistake, we are once again leaving this discussion open for feedback for short time box window. And then we'll just go ahead and move forward. Okay, I will take the action to update the issue and do a request for comment in Slack, no less, and on the community mailing list. So there.
Yes. Thanks, Leslie. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. I think there has been some conversations around the daily triage meetings, and JJ, would you like to provide some information about that?
Yeah. So hey, Ryan, everyone, JJ. The daily triage meeting has kind of morphed into something a little bit larger than we originally planned, which is really neat. And I want to make sure that everybody at least hears this from us. The daily triage meeting has become kind of I believe my good friend Joe described it as where the rubber hits the road of InstructLab. A lot of the people here in this group that come together do triage work. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to show some stats here in just a second. But we also actually experience it from the whole soup to nuts narrative, where we actually have the UX of somebody downstream of using InstructLab, where all of a sudden the things that we are talking about might infect both just the back end people and also the front end people, or the downstream users of training the models. There's many different portions of it. So if you're interested in finding a place that is a safe place, I want to make that very clear. It is a safe place to have these calls and conversations, topics. Please join us in the triage meeting. It's 1:30 CST, which is my time. I'm not too sure. I can't do time zone math in my head, so I'm sorry. I can't tell you what that is at UTC off the top of my head. But it is on the community. It is on the community calendar, so please join us there. Carol, do you mind if I let it take over the screen for a second? Thank you. There now. And just to throw a few little stats out there to show that we're actually doing what we're saying we're doing. First thing first, hopefully this will work. Maybe. There we go. So this is the actual pull requests. If you've noticed now, we actually have a pull request or a process where if you are a part of the community right now and you have noticed that your ticket, or sorry, sysadmin speaking there, your PR gets stuck in triage requested changes, and then adds to triage needed. Triage needed is auto-generated to know that you have made a change to it. So you'll see us remove and add that tag quite a bit. But as long as there is a triage requested changes one, like this red one here, or all these down here, that means that we are waiting on you to do something. I hope that is clear. So please take a look at your PRs to make sure that is a thing. On top of that too, we do actually now have some real interesting stats being captured. We're going to be doing this in a much prettier way eventually, but we'll actually be able to start seeing the trending of the different PRs coming in the different states they're in, so we can show the actual workflow of the pipeline, because this is a pipeline that we are working through. And it will be public, of course. So you're more welcome to take it. If you want a link to this, it's under my personal one for right now, just because we're still building this information, but it's there. Next, we have officially merged the taxonomy tree organization DevDoc, which means now we actually have a plan moving forward with how our taxonomy tree is going to be done for knowledge, specifically knowledge. We're going to do the TLDR of this is we are going to do the best we can to reflect Wikipedia when it comes to the taxonomy tree for knowledge. It is important to recognize because there are multiple ways of doing this. People write PhDs on how to do this stuff. And frankly, we're all software engineers, right? So why try to reinvent the wheel here? So we're going to take from Wikipedia and go from there. The byproduct of this too is being that we're choosing to use Wikipedia as our source. And right now, all of our knowledge can only come from Wikipedia. That gives us an opportunity to build out that tree as we add things to the models. So it'll already be there. So we already kind of quote unquote know where it should already be, which is quite nice if you think of it that way. And finally, this is in flight as of yesterday. Speaking of Wikipedia, we need to think of things about things that are after Wikipedia. We had some conversations in the triage meeting about what are we going to do? What else can we get? Right? Like we can't just have Wikipedia. We need other things. So there's open PR right now in DevDocs. Please comment on it if you'd like. It is, what is it, number 55 right there. I'll put it inside of the chat so people can grab it if they want to. Please put comments on there on specific domains or things like you don't want to do. The idea here is we need to start pulling ideas, because we're going to have to work with copyright law and lawyers to figure out what we can eventually add this to that did not paste, did it? That work? Okay, whatever. Anyway, so this will be their forum that we start pointing people at for new things other than Wikipedia. There was conversations of doing full domains for like .govs or whatever, but that is very much in flight. This document is going to be specifically lists, for instance, like Congress, White House, Senate. Yes, Leslie.
I have many opinions about places where we should gather content, and I would like to understand if what we're doing in the discussion for this PR is what I believe we are doing, which is discuss whether this submission process is a good process to use, and I believe that it is.
Yep.
Or if we're also supposed to be using the PR to say, I have 18 other places where we should collect content.
I think until it's actually merged, if people have very strong feelings about a place that they would like to propose, I don't think I think it's okay for us to take that as a domain that they really want, especially for the initial list. But as soon as we've decided to merge this, which I think we're going to merge this today anyway, so then people can put PRs against it, and we can have that conversation on that specific topic, I believe.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
I'd be very surprised if I don't merge this, or I think I've gotten already the plus ones that I need to merge this anyway. But anyway, I wanted to bring this up in this conversation, make sure people are aware. I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts? Did I miss anything in the chat?
No, people are still talking about Slack and chat history.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
And we'll keep that chat transcript history as well. So
We just have a persistent Google Meet that's always going for chat.
right.
A Google Wave. Let's bring the wave back.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right. Any comments or questions? Well, we can go on, and the next topic is also JJ, you can lead that about the community questions that you have received.
Yeah. Actually, Saida, you sent me some questions this morning. How about how about you ask them to us, and we can work through those.
Sure. So the first question is regarding the taxonomy-driven data curation approach that InstructLab has. The other fine-tuning approaches that we have currently in the market, do they also have this follow this taxonomy approach, or is it IBM and Red Hat has invented this approach? This is the first question that I had.
So I will take a stab at this answer. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But this is based off of the essay, or not essay, the paper that was linked at the top of the pretty much everywhere that Shiv and our friends have put together, where they have the taxonomy tree as a way to do this fine tuning. I believe that is the core value of the paper that was published. And the InstructLab is the ability to put that actually into practice. Thank you, Carol. Am I right there? Am I wrong? EJ, am I wrong here?
No, I think you're right. I mean, the value here is with the taxonomy is that individual contributors can contribute into the tree rather than just throwing their data in the Blender pile. So that gives an opportunity for humans to curate the data by curating the taxonomy tree. And of course, the paper also has a multi-phase tuning approach, which uses that information to better fine tune the model with it than simply, the Blender pile.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
just want to add to that, that the taxonomy approach is definitely novel in this use case, especially for large language models data sets. But taxonomy has historically been used in like different kinds of data sets like graph neural networks and graph data sets and vector DBs. So I would say that this is sort of like inspired from that approach or that structure, but this is definitely a novel concept for LLMs or for contributing to large language models.
Awesome. This answers my question. JJ, I have second question. Can I go ahead with that? Yeah.
Please.
So, yeah, the second question is when we do on the front end, on the CLI, QLoRa method, are we also applying replay buffer mechanism there to prevent catastrophic forgetting?
Yeah, you're asking if COI itself is preventing catastrophic forgetting. The COI today is not. It doesn't use any replay, if I understood your question correctly.
On the InstructLab, when we are doing tuning, basically it happens through QLoRa method, right? So even there, are we following this replay buffer mechanism to avoid catastrophic forgetting? Like say, for instance, we have trained one skill and on top of it, we are trying to, on the same model, we are trying to train another skill. So it does have chances of forgetting the previously trained information?
This is where my answer gets
Or
into.
in the QLoRa or the CLI approach, we are not avoiding catastrophic forgetting just because replay buffers are being used in the backend, like during the data mixing process. That's where we are introducing prior data and accounting for it. So no, the CLI itself is pretty minimal. It does not use replay buffers or does not help with catastrophic forgetting. But however, that's happening in the full lab approach and the full fine tune of the model.
Okay, then the counter question for that is, then how is this InstructLab different from the PEFT or other techniques that we are doing? Because PEFT is at least freezing the weights there to avoid catastrophic forgetting. But in InstructLab, when we tune for a specific skill or a knowledge, let's say one of the client who is trying to train on their confidential data, they don't want to expose it to public by creating a PR and updating a model on a community. How are they going to get benefited using InstructLab?
That's a good question. I can answer to the first part of your question, which is uh, InstructLab is using PEFT and QLoRa methods. We are using parameter efficient training on the CLI. How InstructLab is different from that technique is that the full alignment tuning is accounting for this, is going to prevent catastrophic forgetting, and it's a different technique than PEFT and LoRa. For your second use case, I'm gonna rely on somebody else to answer, but my intuition is that since this is an open source project and an open source community, the primary use case would be open source data, but I don't know if anybody else has anything to add there.
One of the beauties of the idea here is you can build the model with knowing your proprietary data inside inside your own data center, right? The ultimate goal is everything will be open source. So you be able to train it on your own hardware and be able to build InstructLab inside your own ecosystem. It's not right now. It's not right now, but one of the stated goals is everything is going to be open. So eventually, the idea is you'll be able to go through all this as taking all the open source knowledge from the top side and then put your business logic and your business information inside of it too, off of a specific taxonomy tree or something like that, which gives the opportunity for a really wrong word but right word, intelligent, smart base foundational model that will be able to do something very specific that you can tune it and train it to do exactly what you're looking for your business, and then put your business taxonomy tree on there too, and then train it that way. So then now it's really good at doing your business knowledge or your business awareness. And then it has the foundational model on top of it that's really good, that you can say that, yes, I know that this foundational model has A, B, and C inside of it already. X, Y, and Z exists, but we add on top of it, and now it's working inside of our own data center. Go ahead, Ben.
I think maybe it's a matter of timing here too for this answer. Like, I think kind of what I'm hearing is maybe we need to document somewhere that the lab paper we reference, none of the open source implementations yet follow multiple things in that lab paper, right? There's 2 open source training backends today. Neither of them does replay buffers. Neither of them does multi-phase training. We're not using critic models in the data generation. So they're just known gaps. I think it's like maybe this is just a matter of we have to fill these gaps before perhaps that kind of use case could be satisfied in a if it's not currently met with the current quality models we produce, right?
Marty?
Yeah, I think a lot of the answers that JJ and Ben have there are really true. So I think what we have, out of the box was we gave a workflow that could do this end to end, using a particular teacher model, which we also used as the critic model, also as a trainer model. For the Mac, we went with MLX, the QLoRa, and also we went for not the full version of the SDG. And then when you look at the back end, then they're using different models. They're not quantized, and they're using different methods to do the tuning, using deep speed, which is built on top of PyTorch, and so forth. So I think going down the line, Ben has a good point here that in time we're going to have an ability to plug and play easier, different ways to do SDG, different ways to do tuning. Easier ways to plug in and out your models that you're going to use. So I think it's going to go down to what you need and works best for you, and also the particular architecture you're on as you go along. A lot of that will be down to, the size of the model, You know, it's going to eat up more resources, memory being a big part of it. Also, then when you start going up the models from 7B up to 50 odd B, then you're going to need more disk space and so forth. So I think it's that ability to be able to plug and play what I call the implementations of the different stages like STG, tuning, etc., is going to be the key here.
All right, thanks for the good information. As someone who is not as technically inclined to all these details, would a person just contributing regular, a regular contribution for knowledge and skill need to know these details to be able to contribute? Hopefully not.
No.
Okay. I think we also want to emphasize that for kind of the general, when we, are trying to get contributions, it's great for people who want to understand deeper about how the training works and how the tuning works. But
yeah, so Carl, my simile is it's like driving a car. You know, you
Right.
don't have to understand how the engine works and the other parts of it. Some folks, like myself, I just like to drive the car. Other
Right.
folks love to change their own oil and do everything they want to do to it. But you may be in both camps then as well, because you may be part of setting it up in your company or whatever, or you may be interested in plug and play different backends. You know, so it's going to be what hats you wear. I'd say.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. Thanks. All right. Zaida, did you have this scenario question you want to share? Or was this from Zaida as well, the considered scenario?
Yes.
Yes, but I think since the second one doesn't solve the catastrophic forgetting piece, so the whole idea behind the third question was like, say for instance, the catastrophic forgetting is being prevented in the second step in the CLI itself, and you have a good model and you don't want to expose it to public, the version of the flavored version of your model, you just want to use it for your production deployment for an application, then I think I just wanted to understand if you can deploy that model directly into production or not. So I think I will reach out to Ben or Andrila back again for the question number 2 related. Need more detailed understanding on the second piece still.
All right.
I do want to, is it okay, just quickly, I will point out at a high level, independent of your question 2 here, if you are using InstructLab to train your own model, is it clear from community standpoint? I think our licensing doesn't prevent you from using that model. Like InstructLab does not impose any additional restrictions on your use of that model. Is that fair? Or can someone clarify that would not be accurate interpretation of our license?
All the licenses are Apache too, if I'm correctly, so that should be fine, right?
Right. Like the output of it is a model that you could run on inference yourself. And I think the license allows it, but I don't know if that's a clear enough answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think that is
open source. Maybe it's like open source, Ben. If you take something from a particular license, then you're bound by that license. I would say the same applies here on the models. So, like if someone takes some other model that has a specific license tied to a particular company, then I think then you're getting into gray territory and that one. But if it's Apache, as JJ says, then Apache allows you to generate new content without giving any over any of your IP. So Saida, to answer that is, it depends on the license of the model, if it's a permissive license or not. You'd have to be careful what you use as your base that you're going to train.
sure that answers. Thank you. One last question, sorry. How many of them have tried it on Google Colab notebooks or Kaggle notebooks? Because I'm facing issue while running iLab serve and then generating the synthetic data, although I'm using GPU there.
I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody use the Google system before. I know I've seen those. I know I've seen that on Slack. There you go. Bring it all back. Bring it all back.
Now we need to find a Slack link. if
Yeah,
you see what
exactly.
I mean.
But most of the stuff was focused on IBM hardware originally. So if you do go down that path, Saida, um, please document it because I
So
know someone else will want to take it from, leverage it also, because you're right. The GPU that I have underneath my desktop right there, right, pointing down, it would take a year for it to run. Just like my iLab train. So I had to find another option too myself. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Right. Thanks, JJ, and thanks, Saida, for all the great questions. I think these discussions are very informative and helps to drive the project forward. I was hoping that we can start, we're a community and to get to know each other better. But like I know that these meetings we're not going to have everybody introduce themselves every single meeting. It doesn't make sense time wise. But perhaps we can have like five to eight people each time do a short introduction. And because these are recorded, and we can indicate in which meetings who has already kind of done a short introduction, and then we can another group next time, and then at some point we'll just have the newcomers introduce themselves. Would that be something helpful to the community? All right, I'll just start. And my name is Carol Chen. I work for Red Hat. I recently joined the OSPO Open Source Program Office under Leslie to support community development across around InstructLab. And it's been really exciting to be part of this project. And I'm learning so much every day from all of you. So, and I hope to, be able to share about InstructLab at different events. The next one coming up is AI DAF in Paris. So feel free to contact me. My nickname is usually Cybet across all the different social channels, but you can also email me, carol@redhat.com or carol@instructlab.ai. And I'm going to pass the baton to Leslie to do an intro.
Hi, everybody. Leslie Hawthorne. I work in Red Hat's open source program office on various community engagement initiatives. I have been a long time traveler in the open source world, and I've worked on things like Summer of Code, on things like Elastic's community engagement strategy. I've been an OSI board member, and I am delighted to be able to work on the InstructLab project and bring the ability for people to actually contribute to AI instead of, as I sometimes perhaps too flippantly say, it's something where you get to do things with AI instead of having things with AI done to you. So I hope you are all just excited as I am to be along in that journey. And I will popcorn it over to JJ.
Oh, hi. Hi, my name is JJ Asgar. I'm a developer advocate for IBM, and I've stepped up to try to help this project as best as I can. I've spent a little bit of time on the triage team and a couple of the other teams. My Slack handle is awesome because my email address really is awesome@ibm.com. Yes, it's just pompous enough for people to remember. And I'm very excited about this project. I genuinely believe there's some really awesome things here, and I'm excited to see where we go, I guess. And, oh, please, if I can ever help, I'm an open book. All you got to do is ask. And ask me directly, and we might put it on the community chat, right? Or community call. That's kind of how it works, because this is an opportunity for us all to come together. So I'm going to be doing the office hours here this week, and my new best friend Ben is going to be joining me. Hey Ben, how about you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ben Browning. I work for Red Hat as well. I am not an InstructLab committer. I am a contributor. I open PRs. But I am trying to use InstructLab in anger on Kubernetes and OpenShift. And so if you are also trying to use it in anger to do real things, as some of the questions today, it's great. We can swap notes and help each other out and help figure out where we need to push things forward here to get this going for the kind of the secondary use case, which is not just the public taxonomy, which is an amazing effort, but also being able to use this for some other domains would be an interesting thing. So that's kind of where I am. If you ever see me, my expertise is like, how do I use the ALAB CLI with a bigger teacher model? Like I can talk to you about that, those kind of things. If you want to talk about the internals of InstructLab, I may or may not know any of those, but yeah. That's popcorn. Who else is off camera? Do I want to pick on, has anyone else that wants to do this? Because otherwise I'll pick on some people, but some have been quiet and I don't want to put you on the spot too much.
Yeah, feel free to volunteer. And
all right. Well, just because I think this is a safe choice, I'm going to choose our meeting host, which is what Nathan is at least shown on my attending list as the meeting host. And so let's get to know our host maybe.
I don't know why I'm shown as the meeting host, because I'm definitely not. But hello, everyone. My name's Nathan Weinberg. I'm a senior engineer at Red Hat. My background's in quality engineering on cloud platforms, but I started working in InstructLab team a few months ago. Yeah, gosh, I don't know what else about me. I work for Red Hat. Have for about 6 years. So I've seen a few things. If you ever want to talk to me about OpenStack or OpenShift, I'm happy to talk about that. And yeah, I've been mainly working on CLI as of recently. We're working on getting through some of our community stuff. We actually just did a couple of nominations for new CLI maintainers. Gosh, I don't know what else to add. I live in the Boston area. Yeah, I'll open up the floor for questions.
all right, thanks, Nathan. Yeah, I think is a good segue. We'll have more. We can do more introductions in the next few meetings. Going forward. So since we only have a few minutes left, let's go to the open floor. Any topics, questions, ideas, what you want to do for the next meeting, perhaps? Thanks, Nathan.
I will say, Nathan made me think maybe we need an InstructLab map at some point if people want, or just like I'm in the Northern Virginia area, right? So if anyone's around DC and wants to talk InstructLab, I'm around here, right? Nathan's in Boston. So, no addresses or anything, but general locations might be interesting in the future as we try and spread the word around, evangelize, and maybe meet each other sometimes.
Great idea. And also because we want to evangelize InstructLab, as I said, and I would like to. We have plans to have like a speakers bureau type of thing. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do presentations, but even at like meetups or something, just to talk about InstructLab. So it'd be good to know who are in these regions to be able to be available to go to some events and some meetups to share about InstructLab. I think that would be a great thing to have. Oh, and by the way, if I didn't share this in my intro, but I'm based in Finland, so anything in the Nordics, I should be able to help with attend or something, or organize something. Any other ideas, comments?
I guess I'm gonna have to set up a Matrix account.
I mean, it's great. I think it's really useful. I myself like it, and I was a die-hard IRC user for the longest time, so I'm a convert now. Yes, Oleg. Oleg, did you have
Can
your
you hear
hand
me
up?
at all?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was just gonna say I lost the internet, so I don't have the doc. Could you resend the link, please?
Okay. I sent it in chat, or do you want it somewhere else? Does that work?
That works. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I feel like we should give everybody a moment to take a pause if they have to run to their next meeting like I do.
Yeah, good point. So thanks everyone for another great InstructLab community call, and we'll see you next week. Yeah.
Bye, folks.
Cheers, folks.
Bye-bye.